Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm glad you're here because we are talking about negative self-talk. And you're probably familiar with it because we all have it. And it can be really tough to get past it, especially right now in midlife when things are changing. So let me ask you something. Have you ever started doing something like maybe moving your body a little more or paying attention to what you're eating or trying to get to bed a little earlier? And almost immediately there's this voice that pops up in your head that says, that's not enough. And it's not said out loud, of course. It's not even very dramatic. It's actually kind of quiet. It's automatic, which is really interesting. And the worst part is that it's familiar. And if you know what I mean, then today I am talking directly to you. And I'm not talking to that version of you that you feel you should be, that one who has it all figured out. I'm talking to the version of you that's trying. And somehow she still feels like she's failing. And just to know that you're not alone. Here's what I want you to hear before I really get into this episode. First of all, you don't need more willpower. You don't need more discipline. And you definitely don't need to be harder on yourself. What's actually holding you back is the way you're talking to yourself. So, I want to talk about the 5 most common negative self talk statements that I hear from women like you every single day. And I'm not excluded here. I'm very familiar with these statements and that negative voice inside me. I would love to start this by having you give this voice a name. Do you have a name that fits this constant negative, bitchy voice inside of you? And please refrain from Debbie Downer. I'm just on a mission to get rid of that if I can. But think of another name that maybe brings up like negative feelings inside of you and just give the voice a name. It kind of separates it from you. So I'm going to start with the first statement that I hear most often, which is, that's not enough. Or even deeper, I'm not enough. It's a tough statement to progress from if you don't pay attention to it. You might not even know you're saying it. So let's say you decide to take a 10-minute walk, or you go to the gym, but you're only going to stay for 20 minutes. I talked about that in a recent episode. Or maybe you choose to add a salad to that takeout pizza. And before you can even feel even the least bit proud of yourself, there's a voice that shows up. It says, that's not enough. Or something like, that's not going to make a difference. And I want you to know something really important here is that this voice is not motivating you. It's not tough love. What it is, it's training your brain to quit. And your nervous system does not respond to the intensity first. It responds to safety and success. And that's what we need to build on. So from a physiological standpoint, even small amounts of movement improve your blood sugar regulation, lower your cortisol, support joint health and your mood. And when you tell yourself it's not enough, your brain marks the experience as a failure. And then you're less likely to repeat it. So the next time that voice, whatever she's called, she pipes up and says, that's not enough, try responding with, this is how momentum starts. Because it is every single time. It has to start somewhere. Have a way of talking back to that voice is so important. The second thing I hear often is, I should be further along by now. Now, I don't know what we're measuring ourselves against, but this one does carry a lot of shame with it. You look at your age, you look at your intelligence and your knowledge and everything you've accomplished, and you think, why am I still struggling with this? Why do I still feel like I should be further along? Here's what I need you to hear clearly right now is that midlife is not a continuation of your 30s. It's a very different time of life. It's actually a biological transition that happens over many years through your 40s and 50s. And perimenopause is changing how your brain responds to motivation, how your body stores fat, how sensitive you are to stress, how well you recover from workouts. So when you judge yourself for not operating like you used to, or you're comparing yourself with how you used to be, or maybe how somebody else is right now, their best self that's projected out there in social media, you are using outdated and frankly untrue messaging. Instead of saying, I should be further along, try something like, I am in transition and I'm learning how my body works now. That's a shift. It takes you from judgment to curiosity. And this is where I see sustainable change actually begins, is when you can get out of that judgment mind and get into being curious about what's going on. So the third statement I hear often is, if I can't do it perfectly, why bother? I am coaching so many perfectionists. I don't know if it's because I am a recovering perfectionist or I'm actively trying to recover from perfectionism, but this is what I hear from a lot of my clients. And you're probably not somebody who half-asses things. You care, you try, you commit, which is why perfectionism, it sneaks in so easily here. You think, if I can't do it right, what's the point? But here's what perfectionism does to you in midlife. It increases your stress hormones, and stress hormones directly interfere with, of course, fat loss and sleep and energy. And perfection doesn't create progress. Repetition does. So women who give themselves permission to be good enough are far more consistent over time. And I'll tell you, consistency always wins. So when you hear it has to be perfect, that voice in your head again, talk back to that voice and say, I don't need perfect. I need consistent. Mic drop right there. So here's the fourth thing I often hear is that when we're not doing well, we'll say, oh, well, this just proves I'm lazy, or this just goes to show how undisciplined I am. And this one also cuts very deep, because when things feel hard, you don't blame your hormones, you don't blame your sleep or your stress load, you blame yourself. But listen closely, low energy isn't laziness. Increased cravings, they are not a character flaw. And struggling to follow through isn't a moral failure. And sleep disruption alone, which is something I've struggled with, and it's very common, it reduces our impulse control and our motivation. And that's neuroscience, that's not weakness. And when you label yourself as lazy, your brain actually shuts down effort. It shuts down effort. Remember this, your identity drives your behavior. When you say, I am whatever, that's your identity. If you say, I am lazy, I am undisciplined, you have just identified yourself as that, and that will drive your behavior. So what would you rather identify with? Do you want to be kind or unkind? And I'm telling you now, being unkind is not a motivational tool. It will shut you down and make it hard to get back up. So I'm offering you something like this instead. I deserve support, not criticism. Or I'm someone who supports and doesn't criticize. Just using that one statement or version of that statement can begin to lower your stress, and it can open the door for so much positive change in your life. So the fifth one and the last one I'm going to share with you today, and maybe you can identify with this is just how it is now. Or another version, and this one I really can't stand, is it is what it is. I know it sounds kind of innocuous. It kind of sounds very quiet. It doesn't sound harsh, but it sounds resigned, right? It's like saying, I guess this is just my body now, or this is just midlife. And yes, of course, things are different, but different doesn't mean you're doomed. Different doesn't mean it's permanent either. I like to say that as long as you're breathing, you can make positive changes not only in your body, but in every part of your life. And the truth is, your body is still adapting. Actually, this transition is all about your body adapting, and it takes time. Your metabolism is still responding, even though you feel like it isn't. Your strength, your energy, and your clarity, they're always still there, but you are going through transition. And what no longer works, as you know, is doing what you did at 30 and blaming yourself when it fails. So when you hear, this is just how it is, try this instead. Try saying, there's a better way available to me. I just need to open my eyes and try it. That statement alone will keep you in the game. I promise you. So, if you take nothing else from this episode, I want you to take this. The voice in your head is not telling the truth. She's just repeating old stories, old narratives that don't fit your current body or the season of change that you're in right now in your life. You don't need to fight harder. You need to stop fighting yourself. And if you're listening to this thinking, I don't even know how to change this voice, that's okay. This work is totally learnable and you don't have to do it alone. This is the work I do with my clients. It's a huge piece of it. I help my clients create a stronger inner voice, knowing that the negative voice will always be there. We all have it and we always will. But I help you learn to talk back to it with strength and resilience. So if you'd like to chat with me, you know where to find me. My info is in the show notes, as well as my calendar. And I've also prepared a free midlife self-talk cheat sheet that gives you options you can use to talk back to that negative voice. You just need to go to the link in the show notes. And I want to thank you for joining me today. Please share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, or please rate it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I would love that. I want you to keep moving forward. You have totally got this. So I'll see you next week with a fresh new episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at DebbieHarbeckCoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.